Okay, grab a drink. Mine is my beloved key lime sparkling beverage from Aldi, and I'm going to share another story from my childhood. I lived where my dad worked. He was the maintenance manager of a 126 unit community. It was an unofficial 55 and older community, and I was the only child who lived there, and my parents were the only adults under the age of 55 who lived there. My dad was essentially on call 24/7, and it was a quad living community, meaning there were 4 condos attached and then a space, another 4 condos. And we first moved in and rented a unit, and then later on we bought a different unit. When my dad moved in, he decided he needed a work vehicle, and he needed it to be a large vehicle, both to store equipment in, because the garages were tiny, and also so that if he did do outside work, he had a vehicle to drive. And he purchased a 1980s Chevy van. I'll put up a picture of what it looked like. I don't know if it's this exact model, but this is exactly what it looked like. And he purchased it in like a powder blue. And then as time went on, it got rusty and faded, and the president of the association did not like how it looked and wanted him to get it repainted, and we had to pay it. And so it was repainted a darker blue with kind of like the speckled glitter to it. And he could not put on any advertising, so he would have magnets that would attach if he wanted to leave the development and advertise his business, and then we would take it off when he returned. His vehicle had to be grandfathered in because the association had a no pickup truck, no van rule. Only your little cars were allowed. Even minivans had to eventually be grandfathered in. And pickup trucks were never ever allowed to stay overnight in guest parking. So my dad's work vehicle stuck out like a sore thumb. And it essentially was like the ice cream truck for the residents. As soon as they saw him driving or heard him driving, they would bolt out of their houses trying to get his attention, to ask a question, but mainly to complain about something. They also learned his route home from the development and knew when he would be ending his workday, so they could be out and about in their front area conveniently, weeding a garden, taking trash out, checking the mail, all to be sure they caught him in time as he was traveling down the road. There was one neighbor in particular who was very well known for being nosy, knowing everything about the community. She would run from the back of her patio sliding door to see one end of the neighborhood to the front of her house to see that patio, to see the other side of the neighborhood. And if she saw my dad coming down the back way, she knew he probably would be passing the front of her house. And she would stand out in the middle of the road with hands on her hips and her chest thrusted out, waiting for him to pull down the road, and there was no way to avoid her without hitting her. And she would demand he would get out of the van to speak with her about whatever it is she wanted to talk about. And a lot of the time it was not much of anything except maybe trying to get some news out of him. But she did this whether he was driving in his work van, we were coming home, or going somewhere as a family in our personal car. If we were taking a walk around the neighborhood at night after dinner, walking the dogs, she would bolt out of the front of her house, stand in the middle of the road with her hands on her hips, chest thrust out, awaiting us. And if she missed us, she would still run out to the road and yell down the street for my dad, "Vin, Vin," or for my mom, "Jill, Jill," and wait with hands on hips, chest thrusted out, for us to U-turn in our car or turn around if we were walking and come back to her. She would not meet us halfway. We would come back to her to discuss whatever it is she wanted to discuss. And while many neighbors ran out to him when they would hear him coming down the road, when they would know he was coming down the road based on the time, she was the most memorable one, given that she would just stand in front of the vehicle to stop it with hands on hips, chest thrust out. My dad's van was like a bullseye. He could never go by unnoticed. All right, well, thanks for listening to this little story, and I'll post another one another time. Bye.